Thank you, Don. Just since you led this off, just quick show of hands. You don't have to be embarrassed. Who are trying to make Leaf fans in here? Don't be embarrassed. Raise those hands. Don? Yeah. Well, you guys actually had a chance. You said that they won't go far this year. You actually had a chance because you're not meeting the Boston Bruins in the first round. So you guys actually had a chance this year. But welcome to Oxford. Thank you very much for the invite, and I'm happy to be here. And as Don said, this is in my hometown, and growing up here, and haven't really left here. And this is my kid's school, so a huge welcome. Welcome to Oxford, and hopefully you return again. And thank you for being here today. I know it's a busy time of year. For us, the legislature just wrapped up this week, and we passed a significant budget. Significant budget in healthcare, but also a significant budget within our department. There's been some new investments into some silviculture, and a huge investment into our parks and wildlife aspect, which we're looking very forward to over the next few months to be engaged. And with that budget, we are working on some fixes to healthcare, and that is our focus, because Nova Scotians do deserve that. Because healthy people keep our economy going. And because that is true for every sector, including this sector in the forestry. And that's what we need, the sectors to thrive and encourage our economy. And that's true, very true for the forestry sector. And this industry is one of the three F's, as the Premier said: fishing, farming, forestry. And your products have certainly paved the way for our economy to be healthy and thriving right now. And in doing so, you're providing jobs and supporting our local businesses. And for that, we do want to thank you. And I want you to also know that your sector is one of the top priorities of mine. And as long as I'm sitting in this chair, I want you to understand you have an ally within me. And as we look at that, I also want to take the opportunity to thank many of you in the room that even before I was able to be in government and minister when I was in opposition, many of you took me under your wing to educate me on the aspects of forestry, and I certainly appreciate that. And we do have some of the same shared goals in mind: a healthy forest and a sustainable industry. One that supports our families today and will support our families for tomorrow. And as we drive our economy, and in doing so, we can pay for things such as healthcare. And I want that economy to be one that's here for decades to come. So just let's talk about a few things that are going on in the department, if you don't mind. So just the transformation of within the sector and what's taking place on Crown lands. So we're following the recommendations of the Independent Forestry Review Practice, or as many of you know, the Leahy Review. It's setting us on a path of ecological forestry. So we'll have healthy forests and a healthy industry. The key piece of this transformation is the triad model that many of you already know, but I'll just do a quick review. Building on this model on Crown lands is the first item in my mandate letter. It's a priority for me, and it's a priority for my department. There's 3 zones. First, there's a conservation zone where there are no forestry activities. This is on 35% of Crown land. There's the matrix zone, or the multi-use zone, where soft-touch forestry practices will be established, and that's on 55% of the Crown land. And then the high production forestry that we did announce a few months ago will be on 10% of that land. And harvesting will be done similar to an agricultural aspect. We'll plant trees, we'll grow trees, we'll cut trees, and restart. The 3 zones work together to ensure a healthy forest and a sustainable forestry sector. It is a bold new approach on how to do forestry on Crown lands for the province. But there's more work to be done. And I'm happy to say that as of January, all 3 of these stones or sides of the triangle have been put into place. The zones give the sector enough access to timber on Crown land to be successful. And at the same time, we're putting biodiversity first on 90% of our Crown land. So we are driving our economy with this. And also promote biodiversity and move towards our protected areas of 20% of Nova Scotia's land mass or waterways. I'm grateful to my staff that put in countless hours to ensure that this work is going through. I'm grateful to you, many of you in the sector, that have worked with us to ensure that we're moving these steps forward and sharing your experiences and insight through consultation. I know I speak for the whole department when I say that we greatly appreciate all the work that you have all done. To help us with the adjustment, we've also been offering more training to the forestry and forest industry. We're developing software solutions that will help harvest prescriptions in the matrix zone. It will translate data from the harvest proposals into a final prescription that will allow us to utilize the new zone guide, the SGEM, or the long version. So that will work, should be completed this year. And one of our next steps is to consult on a forestry stewardship planning guide. So this guide will work with our licensees to enable them to do a 20-year management plan. And these guides and plans will also be subject to an environmental assessment. So through all this work, we will continue to listen, to understand your needs and values and the interests, and to work closely with our partners. Now on private land, which many of you are more interested in. While this model only applies to Crown land, we do encourage the sustainable practices of private land. I know many of you have already been doing this and have been good stewards of the land for decades, and many multi-generational. You have a deep commitment to the stewardship of this land. We're offering opportunities for others to learn and adopt these practices on their woodlots too. And we encourage that with the annual silviculture funding. This year we're making a bit of a shift of when that funding is available. We know that the need is clearly earlier than what a budget would be announced in April. We heard you loud and clear in the last several years. So this year we made available the silviculture funding of $3.2 million in March, so contractors and woodlot owners can get to work as soon as the weather allows. You didn't have to wait for bureaucrats or politicians to approve a budget early in the spring. And in the future, the silviculture funding in 1 year's budget will work for the following year. This change allows the starting of planning of ecological forestry in a more productive manner. And you won't lose valuable time in the woods, as I said, waiting for politicians to debate the budget. We've also heard from many of you about the low-grade wood fiber and the wood chips. We know there is a need for this market, and we have worked very hard on this, and it's come to even more light since Hurricane Fiona. We're working on several fronts on this. We're exploring export options and working with our federal trade partners and the trade barriers with this. And we know that there are countries that are interested in our product here, and we'll continue to explore those values. We're creating markets right here at home, and one of them is the small-scale wood heat initiative as well. We did convert 9 buildings a few years ago in the phase 1 aspect of the wood heating initiative, and we're actively working on phase 2. And I certainly look forward to keeping you posted on this. I had the opportunity to visit one of the sites in Nova Scotia where they were burning bunker sea oil for many years. And since the switchover, they haven't burned 1 ounce of bunker sea oil in the facility. That's fuel that's generated from our woodlots here in Nova Scotia and keeping the money right here in the economy of Nova Scotia and not supporting an offshore company. We're also learning more about district heating in Nova Scotia, and I know that there's many municipalities also exploring this initiative with us. We believe in these projects because they're good for the environment and good for our economy. Replacing imported oil with locally sourced wood chips increases the market for our product. It's also keeping money in a major part of rural Nova Scotia. In December, we added a renewable electricity standard. It means adding more sustainably harvested biomass to the grid. It has to be sustainably harvested. This is renewable, readily available fuel that burns cleaner than coal, produced here by byproducts in Nova Scotia. There's no point to letting this material go to waste or become a fire hazard on the forest floor. We can use it as fuel and keep the economy going strong here in Nova Scotia. It lets us bring more renewables onto the grid, and in the short term, longer term solutions are built. And this sector will be part of that green initiative and the green change. And it's making a market for our product. I want to remind everybody that there's still available help for anybody that has faced the disasters of Hurricane Fiona. Private woodlot owners can still apply for the funding through Association for Sustainable Forestry. And I believe they're up here speaking later. Correct, Paul? Davis. I thought I saw Dave here somewhere. We've engaged them to administer these funds. And we just added another $2 million so the industrial woodlots are also included. This money will help with costs to clean up trees that were blown down, left leaning, weakened, or vulnerable. The funding can also help in reforestation, and it can help fix washed out roads, culverts, and bridges. We added an additional $500,000 to help with the road repair. Forest Nova Scotia is managing this projects for us. And I urge you to learn more about this criteria as we all work together. And we don't want to see a fire hazard laying in our woods because of the hurricane. I also want to take a quick opportunity to remind you of the Woodlot of the Year award. This is something that I've taken very serious since becoming a minister and have gone to many of the award ceremonies. And the award acknowledges exceptional stewardship with small and private woodlot owners. And we're lucky to have some of those recipients with us here today. So I encourage you to have a conversation with them and also give another congratulations as well. We're currently accepting nominations for this award. So if you know somebody who is exceptionally deserving of this award, please send in the recommendations, nominations through our website, because the application deadline is May 30th. So just quickly in closing, I see I only have a few minutes left, and I do apologize. I do have to run for a funeral that I do have to leave town. Hopefully I will be returning later on this afternoon if time does permit, and we'll be able to have a conversation. But just in closing, I certainly want to thank all the partners that have supported this today. The individuals that have taken a beautiful weekend and come here to engage and learn and also share your insight as well. I'm very proud of you. And as minister, as I've said, you certainly have an ally here. I'm very proud of the work and dedication that you've all put into the forestry sector. No matter what your role is, whether it's the conservation role, whether it's the management role, whether it's part of the economy, we can all work together. We do have a plan to move forward. You're part of the solution as we move toward a cleaner and brighter, greener future. And I want you to know my door is always open. So please, pick up the phone, reach out, and we will have those conversations. I want to thank you all for doing your part for the economy and your stewardship of our forests. By working together, we can create a bright future for Nova Scotians. So once again, thank you to everyone that has organized this day. I know this is one of 3, I believe, conferences. My deputy will be in Port Hawkesbury in 2 weeks, and I certainly look forward to taking part in these events next year. Thank you everyone for coming, and have a great weekend.